Absolutely. Thank you so much, Brian. The AP, the Associated Press, which is here today, called the race for Joe Biden at 11:25 a.m. this morning after saying that Joseph R. Biden secured the state of Pennsylvania and its electoral votes, which would have pushed him over the top, according to them. I'm just looking at reports from NBC, NPR, Philadelphia Inquirer, all saying that Joe Biden will be president-elect and the 46th president of the United States. We're going to keep fighting. I'm sure Team Trump is not going to give up. The Trump campaign is not going to give up. They're going to keep fighting. And that is absolutely what we have to do to make sure that there's a fair election above all.
Yeah, and I think something that's important to remember is that the mainstream media will call this for Joe Biden, but that doesn't really mean anything until it's contested in the courts and the courts make a decision, because we know that Team Trump will bring it there. So we also know that the media was completely on Joe Biden's side, and they want you to take their narrative, basically. So just consider that whenever you're reading these headlines that they're calling it for Joe Biden as president-elect. Also, for this rally today, I know that I'm curious how they're going to fit so many people down there. I know we were having trouble finding parking in the city of Philly, so I'm curious how we're going to get thousands more parked in there.
What's interesting about that is, especially after the AP has announced the winner, so now Trump supporters anywhere around Philly, I'm making a call to you right now, head down to Arch and 12th Street, right outside the convention center. This is the time now to gather and rise up as Trump Nation typically does when we go to a rally. So definitely do that, because today's a very important day, and we need to show the president that we have his back. And I know everyone here at Lightside Broadcasting, he's known this from day one. He watches this broadcast. He knows that we have his back, but we want to show the millions of Americans across this country that are showing support for this president despite what we've seen. And to your point, mainstream media has called this election almost 4 years ago, right? And of course, big tech, Twitter, big social media companies as well. There's censorship across the board in terms of showing conservative support and exposing a lot of the fraud that we've seen in the voting process. It has been suppressed. It has been censored. And you know what? The time is going to come when people are going to have to answer some questions to what happened.
Yeah, I saw a tweet yesterday, I think. This guy on Twitter was testing Twitter, and he made two claims. One, he said Joe Biden won Pennsylvania, and one that Trump won Pennsylvania, President Trump won Pennsylvania. And they censored the one that said President Trump won Pennsylvania for false news, basically, but not the one that said Joe Biden was. So that just shows you right there where they stand, if we didn't already know.
Absolutely. As you stand here real quickly, you're probably hearing some horns honk and people driving by. There's a lot of Trump supporters that you cannot see. They're not allowed in here. So if you're wondering right now.
Good afternoon, all. Good afternoon. This is Spirit Journey. Today is November 7th, 2020. It's Saturday. The time is now 11:38 a.m. Wow. There's a lot of stuff going on. I'm going to talk about this election, 2020 election that was a couple of days ago. And this is very troubling. I was going to do a live stream regarding this video that InfoWars had shared. So I came to this room here that you see me in to do the live stream on that video. It was about the improprieties that's allegedly happening in the poll stations. And they did have evidence. They showed videos of people burning ballots, carrying ballots outside of the poll station. Who knows what they're going to do with it. A lot of things that's on camera. And an audio tape, a secretly done audio tape of a poll station. The people who, they were being trained how to do this election stuff, and they have teenagers being taught how to handle the paperwork, and you have a facilitator there. This was in Detroit, and the things that they were showing. And also in front of me on this I have a monitor in front of me. It's a live stream by Right Side Broadcasting. Let me see if I can show that real quick. Okay, I put it on pause. They're going to have like a conference, outdoor conference to update regarding this election thing. Okay, and yeah, it just started. The live stream just started 9 minutes ago, and again, the time right now is 11:49 a.m. It's just the people are going to be speaking shortly, and I didn't know that was going to be on. I want to show you this window here. Let me see if I get it. Okay, this window here. It's 33, a little over 33 minutes. It's very, very compelling, and I want to share. This is what I wanted to share you initially. I will still air it, but since this live feed is going to come on, giving some type of announcement. Again, you haven't heard from Trump. And I did a live stream yesterday regarding Trump. And I shared, I think it was 2 videos that I shared with you regarding what's going on in the election. And it's very, this is a coup. This whole thing that you see materializing in front of your eyes is a takeover of the United States government. I love my country. I am a veteran. I'm born and raised here from New York City. And again, it's not about which person you want to vote for. That is not what I'm about. You vote for who you want to vote for. But when they are using people, they're playing on people's sensitivity with regard to racism, sexism, all this stuff. Yes, which does exist, and yes, black lives do matter. However, they're using your sensitivities on those issues, people, and using it to actually destroy you. They're trying to they've already infiltrated this government, and they're going to take over this country from the inside out. And some people, and I'm going to say, I think some people in the black community are being used as weapons, pit bulls, Doberman pinchers, to use you to supplace this system. And you think you might have the front seat and get all, favorites, rewards for doing what you're doing. No, they're going to destroy you. Just like in Nazi Germany. Just like in Nazi Germany, what happened? You had the brown shirts in Germany. They wore brown shirts. That's what they call brown shirts. And these were used as the bullies. The people who would, like the police, who would beat up people. And then what happened? Once they removed the initial challenges, then the SS, what's known as the SS, they were used to eliminate the brown shirts. The SS were an elitist group. It's filled with all the doctors and lawyers, the rich folks of Germany, and used them to actually kill off the people that helped them get into power, the brown shirts. And that's what's going to happen to you. I just want to put it out there, because that is what's going to happen. They're going to use you in the poll stations to remove ballots, to destroy ballots, to intimidate the people who had wanted to vote, but surprisingly, when they went to vote, that it was already indicated that they voted and they didn't. A lot of improprieties, all this weird stuff that's going on, right? Yeah, this is a damn shame. And they're using you, black people. Everything that you see, the COVID, this is just my impression. This whole COVID scare was used to prepare for this election thing. And so that when you go to vote and the people who are supposed to oversee the voting, that, you have to stand some feet behind me. You have to be at least 6 feet away from me. Oh yeah, they're going to be 6 feet away from you, all right. And what's happening, let me see if I'm looking at this other window here. Okay, I'm not going to put the audio on. Let me just see what's happening. Okay, I'm just going to put that on mute so it's not interfering us talking. When I see someone come up on stage, then I'll put the live, the audio on for that. Yeah. Then just okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, they're going to discard you, and again, a lot of improprieties, and they use the COVID as a pretense to excuse why you can't have someone observing you when you're handling the ballots. Yes, this is all planned. We have people in high places, and again, it's not about one group favoring one candidate over another. It goes beyond that. You have people who want to take over America, and they're going to not like you, regardless of whether you're Democrat, Republican, or everything in between. It's a takeover. And Trump, from the very beginning, had but the system. He's considered an outsider, but he's an individual, whether you like him or not. He's an individual who does his own thing. And he stepped on a lot of toes. A lot of people didn't want him from the very beginning. And again, it's not about not liking him or liking him. It's about people who already had a plan ahead of time, who wanted to take over what they call predictive programming. You see in Hollywood movies that they present you a narrative because they're going to try to make that happen. And so when it does happen in front of you, you're just going to just kind of accept it, So yeah, it looks like they're going to be starting to speak soon. Yeah, this is there's a lot of information out there. And again, yesterday I did put out a video regarding these things, like with Trump. Did you know that Trump had okay, let me switch this thing here. Yeah, did you know that Trump had the ballots embedded with a watermark? Yeah, he's a clever dude. He sensed that something was going to happen. And the key thing was regarding the mail-in ballots. Okay? Now, again, the COVID is an excuse. Oh, well, you don't want people to get infected with the COVID. So let's do a whole mailing, even if you didn't request it, whole mailing. And it was known, it was suspected by the Trump administration that they're going to take those ballots and fill it out themselves and hoard them. And then if Biden isn't seen to be winning at during the vote, then they're going to miraculously revive his numbers and put them in. And that's what was being showed, what happened. And they did it around sometime after 12 in the morning. Horrible things that are going on. Horrible. This is all a plan. So again, with the COVID, let's do the mail-ins, because you don't want the people to get sick, even though you allow the demonstrators to go out without the masks and all that, and massive amount of people to come together. But then you're going to be afraid for people to come in person because of the COVID. See how you contradict yourself. So you expose yourself, you expose your intent about wanting to take advantage of this election system. And again, it's not about who you like or don't like. It's what is. And you had all these people rallying, going to Trump rallies, a sea full of people. And then when you see Biden, you don't see anybody. So how could this happen? So you just got to ask yourself. And some of you might say, oh, well, we don't like Trump because he's a racist. Yet Black America has done the best under him. I know for me, as a Black woman living in New York City, I've done the best here under his administration, not Obama at all. Trump is for the veteran. I am a veteran, and Trump has helped us veterans. He helped us out in many different ways. And he's a man of his word. He does what he says he's going to do. So, I don't know what's going on. But Black people, you were used. You're being used big time. Big time. People want to just looking for my lipstick. Yeah, people want to take advantage. They're taking advantage of your nature. Yeah, all the poll stations, you know what happened, like when I went to vote. Okay, I did the early voting on a Saturday 2 weeks ago. And in New York City, you did not require to have any proof of your identity. I kid you not. You could just walk in off the street. Of course you have to wait online. I had to wait 4 hours. Just go online and then say that you're so-and-so. They'll type in your name and then they show, oh, is this you? Yes. And then they have you electronically sign for it, and then they hand you a ballot. Okay. And upon you being handed the ballot, and so, then you fill out the ballot, and then you put it in a machine that counts your vote. Anybody could have come off the street. Anybody. And you have a lot. What's really weird, when I waited online for that 4 hours, I was the only Black person that I could find on that line. But then in the area with the facilitators, a lot of Black people, and they're using you and using your fear about racism and all this negativity. They brainwashed you. They brainwashed you big time. Again, it's not about liking somebody, liking one candidate over another. I mean, I've been voting since 1980. 1980, I just turned 18. And my birthday came just before the actual election in November. So, but the following election, I was voting, and so I there were people back then. A lot of Black people didn't like Reagan, but they didn't do all this mischief. They didn't do all that mischief. Yes, they did try to assassinate, people tried to assassinate Ronald Reagan, but, but they didn't use you. It's horrible. It's horrible. This is very, very sinister. They played on our health through COVID. Trump had put a backseat on China to come to, to have people coming from China because of the COVID. And then when he tried to protect America, his opponent said, oh, you're just a racist. And you Black folk in particular ate it up. How many of you have had Black people in your family who died from COVID, or relatives who died of COVID? What if he was able to do what he wanted to do sooner, but he was prevented? And when he did it, oh, you're a racist. See that? See the logic? If you do it, you're a bad person to do because you don't like foreigners. And then when you finally do it, oh, it's your fault because you didn't take action soon enough. See? Yeah, you're being fooled. You're being fooled big time, and I think it's bad. I think it's very sad. I think it's very, very sad what's happening. Oh, brother. I really don't know what to say. I love this country. I'm born and raised here. I'm born and raised here, and this is the best place. the benefits that we have in this country. You know, you go into those third world places, you don't have the same amenities. We're spoiled here. We don't realize when we compare Black America to even the wealthiest people outside, you know, wealthier Black people, or just so-called middle class outside of the Black middle class outside of America, you're going to feel like you're a king and queen. This country is one of the best countries in the world. I love this country. I don't like a lot of things that it does. I don't like the corruption. I don't like the racism. Oh, let me see what this guy's saying. Oh, okay, he's just walking away. Yeah, I have another monitor going on. Okay. Yeah, I'm watching different things in front of me with the monitor. Yeah. Yeah, this is awful what's happening. This is a modern day coup. And it has its pit bulls and its Dobermans to do the job. And then they're going to get rid of you. Horrible. Horrible. Yeah, the video that I want to show you, I want to show you a video. But I'm going to wait since this live stream is going to start shortly. Yeah, I'm just really curious about what they're going to talk. Again, we don't know where Trump is right now. But if you saw my video that I did yesterday, let me just show. Let me see here. Okay, putting up different windows here. Let me see. So get the name of my video that I did. Let's see here. Okay, my channel. Okay, I'm looking on the screen here. I'm going to show you the screen. Okay, this is my my channel. Okay, right now, just moving up the screen here. Okay, I did a video yesterday. It's called U.S. Presidential Elections Update and More. Okay, that's from yesterday. It's a little over 54 minutes, and I share 2 videos on it. It's really telling. And then I did another video here, post U.S. presidential election 11/4/2020. Okay, these are things that you could watch, and you could watch it free at your own leisure. Okay, and I indicate the oh, okay, let's turn this on and see. Okay, so it's going to be starting. Looks like they're going to start something soon.
Wow, what a beautiful day. Thank you. Thank you for coming. So I'm here on behalf of the Trump campaign, as an attorney for the president, to describe to you the first part of a situation that is extremely troubling. First of all, for the state of Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and then for a number of other states. And these lawsuits will be brought starting on Monday. But the first time it was discovered was here in Pennsylvania just a couple of days ago. the people you see behind me are just a few of about, I'd say, 50 to 60 poll watchers who will all testify that they were uniformly, deprived of their right to inspect any single part of the mail-in ballots. As you know from the very beginning, the mail-in ballots were a source of some degree of skepticism, if not a lot of skepticism, as being innately prone to fraud. The New York Times had written that 10 years ago under other circumstances, but of course changed their mind once it was a situation involving President Trump. Congresswoman Jordan, in her vast and compendious review of various forms of voter fraud, cited mail-in ballots as the most prone to fraud. With all that, you would have expected there'd be a high degree of security and a high degree of inspection that would be provided for mail-in ballots. Instead, in the wisdom of the officials, Democrat officials here in the city that's been Democrat for 60 years and has a very long history of voter fraud, documented history of voter fraud, instead of going to a high degree of care to allow inspections of the mail-in ballots, there was no inspection of a single mail-in ballot. Those mail-in ballots could have been for anybody. Those mail-in ballots could have been for anybody they wrote in. Those mail-in ballots could have been written the day before by the Democratic Party hacks that were all over the convention center. What I'm saying to you is not a single one was inspected, as the law required. Even when a court order was obtained to allow the Republican inspectors to get 6 feet closer, they moved the people counting the ballots 6 further feet away. It's really simple. If you have nothing to hide with these mail-in ballots, you allow inspection. I mean, this is common knowledge, common practice in the examination of absentee ballots, which happens all the time. You take out the absentee ballot, you open it up, the Republican looks at it, the Democrat looks at it. If nobody objects, you put it in the pot. If either objects, you put it aside. That's what's done for absentee ballots, which have the extra security of having signatures you can match. Here, it's a much more insecure method of voting. No Republican got a chance to look at that ballot. Some of the ballots you will see look suspicious. From very far away, they look like same pen, possibly same handwriting. We can't say that because we never got to see it. Now, you're also going to find that way across, on the other side of the state, there was a similar situation in Pittsburgh involving 300,000 ballots that were uninspected, unreviewed, not observed by a single Republican. Not a single one. It's got to be a pattern. As a friend of mine says, I don't believe in conspiracies, but I also don't believe in coincidences. Kind of funny that all Republicans were rejected here, and all Republicans were rejected in Pittsburgh, and it amounts to about, just about the 700,000 votes that President Trump was ahead by 2 days ago that disappeared. And we have no way of knowing, because we were deprived of the right to inspect, if a single one of those ballots is legitimate. That is unheard of, it's illegal, it's unconstitutional, and we will be bringing an action challenging that. And I emphasize to you, it's only one of the many other infirmities in this election. I know this city has a sad history of voter fraud. After all, Joe Frazier is still voting here. Kind of hard since he died 5 years ago, but Joe continues to vote. If I recall correctly, Joe was a Republican, so maybe I shouldn't complain. But we should go see if Joe is voting Republican or Democrat now from the grave. Also, Will Smith's father has voted here twice since he died. I don't know how he votes because his vote is secret. In Philadelphia, they keep the votes of dead people secret. At least that is something that you can be commended for. I'm not attacking the people of Philadelphia. I'm attacking a decrepit democratic machine, which has a lot of other reasons to be attacked. It's been around for 65 years. You keep electing the same people. The city gets no better. The crime goes way through the roof. The riots you have, the police stand by and watch it, not because of the police, because you have a mayor that lets them stand by and watch it. You got a district attorney who lets people go free. You are poorly served, ladies and gentlemen of Philadelphia. And then you got a political machine. Mayors who let riots take place, district attorneys who set criminals free. I don't think they're going to care much about ballot fraud. This is outrageous. In an enormously important contest with a very, very suspect method of voting, there was no security. Zero. The people of this city, people of this country, have no assurance at all that those ballots were actually cast. They would have to have been almost unanimously cast for Joe Biden in order to catch up. And let me have one or two of the people, let me emphasize, this is only 2 or 3 of about 50 people so far that have given us statements, affidavits, recordings. We're going to have many, many witnesses. It's not a small case. It can be a big case. But I wanted you to get the flavor of it here in Philadelphia, because we also have to alert the people of Pittsburgh that the same fraud was done to them as here. And I'll also add, same thing was done in Georgia. The same thing was done in Michigan. The same thing was done in North Carolina. Seems to me somebody from the Democratic National Committee sent out a little note that said, don't let the Republicans look at those mail-in ballots. At least not in the big Democratic hack cities that we control. We've done a lot to destroy those cities, and now we're going to destroy their right to vote. So let's start off first. My friend, you just tell briefly what happened to you, who you are, and what happened to you like you described it before.
I am Daryl Brooks in Philadelphia. Okay.
Take your mask off.
All right. Daryl Brooks, Philadelphia resident. Been here for about 2 years. I come out here to support our president, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted to be on the go to the poll, the box. A lot of us were excited about the president winning his second term. And a lot of individuals, African Americans in Philadelphia, especially men, were talking about the 401k plan and how they were excited because their finances. So when I go to the poll, it was basically they put us at 20 feet away, and they said no cameras, no phones, you cannot take pictures. I was even harassed by some of the Democratic Party poll watchers, and that is also recorded. And then next thing you know, it was 6 feet away, and they still would not allow us to see anything that was happening. We saw people working on the ballot, but we didn't know the names. We didn't see anything. We don't know if people voted twice or 3 times. We didn't know if dead people were voting. So we were there and we were watching, and it's such a shame. This is a democracy, Philadelphia, and they did not allow us to see anything, and it wasn't corrupt enough. It gives opportunity as poll watchers to view all the documents, all the ballots. And listen, we just want a fair election. And we viewed that it was not fair at all. It was not fair to allow us to, you could allow us to look at the ballots, some ballots, but nothing. We were kept away from everything.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Matt Silver. I went for 16 hours straight poll watching. It took about 30-45 minutes to get through, despite me having credentials of all possible manner. Eventually I showed an email proving that I was supposed to go in. They at least let me through. When I was there, I was turned away for a tablet. They did not want any tablets or computers there. I had to bring that elsewhere. Eventually, when I was let through, we were not able to get anywhere near the ballots. There were 3 rows of people counting ballots. The closest in my day, may have been 15 feet away. Then there was another row, then there was another row. To the extent that you could see anything, we were told repeatedly, including by Democratic poll watchers, including by police, that if they see us taking a photograph or a video, we'll be thrown out and not let back in. The only place you could use a phone was several hundred feet away from the ballots. I don't know what they were trying to protect. When I was there, I saw some people looking at the ballots legitimately. Some people were flipping through them at a rate of every second or so in a way that we specifically could not even see a single thing. To the extent that you could see a thing in certain boxes, I saw they seem to be, at least certain boxes, seem to be in the same unusual pen and seem to have very similar handwriting. Some boxes were normal, some boxes were like that. When they finished with going through boxes, they put them in the very, very back of the room where you couldn't see a thing hundreds of feet away. Then they put supposedly the same boxes, I can't tell if they are or not, through separate machines where they stripped the ballots, the outer casing listenable signatures to the privacy ballot. At that point, the actual signatures are completely separate from the privacy ballot, and they'll never be able to be tracked back. What I saw was disturbing, and the process seemed to be specifically so we could not observe, and also so we could not challenge. The only way to challenge something was to call an individual called Seth, who was in the back of the room, who could speak to people. And again, they were very worried about photographs and videos.
How were you chosen?
I was asked both by my local ward and the Republican National Lawyers Association. I responded to both. I was going to do so. There was some type of vetting process, including my bar number and I guess my credentials, and then I was accepted.
You're an attorney, huh?
I am an attorney. I asked the individuals in the group who were the most senior, and again,
We'll take questions later. When you moved 6 feet closer, as far as you knew, was that based on a court order?
I assume it was a court order. In no case was I closer than 15 feet from anyone counting.
Did they move 6 feet further away?
The closest row for me was 15, 20 feet away. Then there was another row 15, 20 feet beyond that counting, and then another 15, 20 beyond that. The only thing I could see at all was the row closest to me.
Okay. And again, how were you selected?
Selected by the Philadelphia Republican Party.
And credentialed by them?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And we'll have one. Would you speak to the other group that were not allowed access, which is another category? Would you mind?
No, thank you.
See if I can get this down a little.
I'll stand like this.
Okay.
Good morning, thanks for being here. I'm Lisette Tarragona. I'm a long-time resident of Philadelphia. T as in Thomas, A-R-R-A-G-A-N-O. You're welcome. I am a long-time resident of Philadelphia, although not native. And quite frankly, I've always been I'm a retired attorney, and I got really, really hepped up about watching voter freedom, freedom of speech, and being able to say the words Donald Trump without getting pushed in the corner. And when I really got excited about being asked to observe ballots was when I felt that my way of life was being put in jeopardy. The American way of life being put down for things I say, who I like, and it's not fair. I'm the child and granddaughter of both Holocaust victims and survivors, and I'm the daughter of a World War II veteran and who fought for and or ran away from horrible, horrible times where people are repressed and sent away. And what I noticed when I was brought in to be a poll watcher I was never brought in, actually. I never got past the first identification stage. They kept saying that mine, as well as 5 or 6 other Republicans, their names hadn't been entered into the system. And after the first time it happened, the second time it happened, had no second thoughts about it being a problem, more that somebody failed to finger us into the computer system. But after a while, what I witnessed, and I said to Mr. Giuliani before, in a morbid curiosity staring at, I felt insidious fraud going on. I felt that we were kept away from doing our civil duty. That was, everybody on both parties should be upset about. This is horrible. We're being restricted. We're being restrained. And I see this nothing as the insidious nature of the Philadelphia and Pennsylvania governments who are keeping us away from doing what we were meant to do.
Thank you, thank you. Was that the other 1, 2, 3?
Up here with me.
The other 3 here are also poll watchers who are deprived of their opportunity to even go into the room. I could have brought, I'm getting a list now to count them, I could have brought about 50 with me, but I didn't do it for 2 reasons. 50 is too many. Number 2, they're afraid. They're afraid of being publicly identified. They're willing to testify in court. They're afraid there'll be repercussions against them because one of the people that did speak on television has already had threats. Jeremy Mercer, who was in charge, has already given a statement twice, both here in Philadelphia, the day after the election, I believe, and then he was interviewed on television. Jeremy will basically corroborate the statements that were given about the fact that he was there for 21 hours and then again for another couple of hours. He believes about 300,000 ballots went through. He was unable to see any of them. He requested an opportunity to do so numerous times. Then they went to court. They got an order that they could be 6 feet closer. They were put 6 feet closer, and the tables they were observing were put at least 6 feet further away, or the people moved the tables that were further in the back. The other witnesses who we've interviewed, and we've interviewed about half of the 50, all corroborate to a T exactly what you see here. That they thought they were going to show up to do an inspection. Some of them had inspected absentee ballots before, where you're shown the ballot. The Republican is shown the ballot. The Democrat is shown the ballot. Neither objects, you put it in. If either objects, you put it aside for discussion later. Nothing like that happened here at all. This is a gross miscarriage of the process that would assure that these ballots are not fraudulent. It's a fraud, an absolute fraud. I mean, you can't just submit these ballots and not have them checked. They're highly suspect ballots, mail-in ballots. It's also highly suspect because it's almost mathematically impossible, several people have already testified, to close the lead that Biden closed. When things closed on Tuesday night, President Trump was ahead by almost 800,000 votes.
Wow.
And it took a couple of days to be able to produce enough ballots to bring it down. Now, could some of those ballots have been manufactured in advance by the Democrat machine of Philadelphia? It wouldn't be the first time they did it. And then exactly why didn't they want the ballots inspected if the ballots are legitimate? It seemed to me, knowing the suspicion that would exist on a political machine like this, with the reputation that it has, you would go to the extra extent to be transparent. Instead, they went to an extra extent to be secretive, as did the Democrat Party in pretty much the cities they control as a machine like this one. Because although we don't have as many complaints yet, we've got about 12 in Atlanta, we've got about 15 in Detroit, we've got about 20 more in the rest of Michigan. I would say in at least 10 states now, we have complaints almost exactly like this. This will be a statewide case because there are 300,000 ballots equally in question in Pittsburgh with witnesses similar to these witnesses. In some cases, In some cases, they actually saw a little bit more that would suggest that the ballots were being tampered with, but I have to wait until they're all fully debriefed. Right? Well, first of all, obviously he's not going to concede when at least 600,000 ballots are in question. It's not my job to determine if the ballots are right or not. It's their job. But with a mail-in ballot or an absentee ballot, the burden under law is on the party that's proposing it, which is why it has to be inspected. It's not my, how can I possibly tell you there's fraud or no fraud? The way they conducted themselves, because it looks, I can't tell you exactly what's on the ballot. They conducted themselves in a way that suggests that there was fraud. One of the things that does involve fraud is not making it possible for the people who are supposed to inspect. That's a fraud. That's a fraud on the voters. The voters expect that their inspectors are going to be able to inspect. The voters were defrauded of that right. We will not know if those 600,000 ballots were valid, invalid, or not. Having conducted themselves that way, they certainly present a very strong circumstantial case that the ballots were tampered with. Also, the highly unusual, almost mathematically impossible reduction in the vote in that period of time also raises the question that the ballots were tampered with. So they've done everything they can to yell out to you we were tampering with the ballots without being stupid enough to show it to you. They kept our inspectors away. They kept our inspectors away uniformly. I don't think we're going to find a single Republican that ever got to look at one of those ballots when the law requires that we are allowed to look at them. They did it here, and they did it in Pittsburgh. That can't be a coincidence. How do they figure out in Pittsburgh they should do the same thing that happened here? And they didn't do it in other places. I'm sorry, I'm going to ask Corey Lewandowski to explain his experience.
This is something else. Horrible.
Well, I appreciate you being here today. Let me just give you one concrete example, not anecdotal, but concrete example of what we believe to be valid voter fraud in the state of Pennsylvania. I draw your attention to an obituary listed for one Denise Ondish in Allegheny County, born 9/10/1946, deceased 10/22/2020. Her application to vote was received on 10/23, the day after she died.
Oh, wow.
It was then mailed by the county back to her on 10/24/2020, 2 days after she had legally passed away. And the ballot was then received back at the county office on November 2nd, 2020. And when you go to the Secretary of State's website today, it says that she voted in this election, effective November 2nd, 2020, a full 9 days after Miss Ondish of Allegheny County passed away. This is not, this is not empirical, this is not anecdotal. This is hard evidence, and if you do your jobs from the media, I'm sure you'll find additional examples, and this will be one of many that we will be filing with the court. Thank you very much.
Horrible.
Also, when you say that there's no evidence, the people standing behind me are called witnesses. They will eventually, soon hopefully, appear in court and give this testimony, because we're going to file a federal lawsuit that will cover here and Pittsburgh, and we will have as many witnesses as the court needs. Right now it could be as many as 90 witnesses. That's called evidence that there was a uniform deprivation of the right to inspect, which constitutes a fraud on the people of Pennsylvania, constitutes a fraud on all legitimate voters. Any illegitimate vote cancels a legitimate vote. And the burden of proof as to whether it's a legitimate ballot or not, when it's a mail-in ballot, is on the person proposing the ballot, because there's no other way to justify it. Well, they made it impossible to view those ballots, and there can be only one conclusion as to why you would make it so impossible. Because many, many of them were fraudulent. And you just don't lose leads like that without corruption. And you're in a city in which voter fraud is professional. It's not just amateur. Some places may be amateurs at voter fraud. Philadelphia is a professional place for voter fraud.
Wow.
Because you have a decrepit Democrat machine that you have had in power for 60 years, and it's the reason why you have voter fraud. It's the reason why you have so much crime. It's the reason why you're leading the country in some categories of crime. Because these people are not helping the people of Philadelphia. Their loyalty is to the Democrat Party. Oh, please, I'll answer 3 questions, one at a time. I'm sorry, I don't understand that. Wiener? Who is a winner or a cheater? Oh, is he a winner or a cheater? Well, that's what we want to find out. We have a right. I mean, here's what I can say about this evidence. This evidence is overpowering in that it suggests we need a very, very detailed hearing. We have to find out exactly how many ballots are implicated, how many ballots were not inspected. The estimates I have so far, but we haven't finished this investigation, is it was about 150 to 200,000 ballots here and about 300,000 ballots in Pittsburgh. It may be more, it may be less. Now that's very serious, because the margin of victory, after being behind by 800,000, was only about 40,000. And it's a little odd that every vote from Tuesday on was all for the one candidate.
Yeah.
There's also a very strange thing that happened, which will be part of our case. At some point during the process, when the lead of President Trump reduced from something like 50,000 to 30,000, at the time it was at 50,000, 94% of the vote had been cast. When we got to 30,000, it was only 90% of the vote cast. Now, I can get experts to tell you how that happens. That happens because, think about it, you increase the denominator. What do you increase the denominator with? New ballots. Nobody was informed of new ballots, unless people were writing them up. This will be a very, very strong case. And I know you won't accept it because of your hateful biases, but let's see if you can try thinking rationally. The poll? Because they don't decide the election. The call for Joe Biden isn't. Who was it called by? Oh my goodness, all the networks. Wow! All the networks! We have to forget about the law. Judges don't count. All the networks. All the networks thought Biden was going to win by 10%. Gee, what happened? Come on, don't be ridiculous. Networks don't get to decide elections. Courts do. Of course, courts set aside elections when they're illegal. In this particular case, I don't know if there's enough evidence to set aside the entire election. Certainly not around the country, maybe in Pennsylvania. However, there certainly is enough evidence to disqualify a certain number of ballots. The ballots that were not properly inspected should be thrown out. And that number of ballots should be taken out of the count.
Right.
That could affect the election. I can't hear two people at once. I'm sorry. That's a whole new issue. That's a whole new issue that we're just developing. Seems to be a significant number of ballots. And there seems to be a significant number of
I shouldn't say significant. There seemed to be 3 or 4 very credible witnesses that there was backdating going on, and there are direct witnesses to that. But I'm sure you'll call that not evidence. Not you, the general mob. Sure. Yes. Yes. Sure, simple. Thank you, sir. I can be a law professor. The case that we would file, many cases are going to be filed. Some big, some small. This is going to be eventually a big case because it will go beyond Pennsylvania. But right now, the case is a civil rights case. It'll be filed in federal court. I'm sorry. It'll be filed in federal court. You can file it here or Pittsburgh. That'll be the choice of our lawyer who's looking at it now. Since there seem to be more cases in Pittsburgh than here right now, I would guess it would be filed in Pittsburgh, but it would affect both jurisdictions. And what the case alleges is very simply that President Trump's campaign was denied its right to fair count, which is a deprivation of civil rights. And if that's the case, the court has a wide range of what are called equitable remedies. Equitable remedies could include depriving that jurisdiction of a certain number of votes, equal to the number of votes that are proved to be not inspected properly. It could be to set aside an election, but that could be one of the things we ask for, but I think that if you set aside the votes, you would probably remedy the wrong that was done here. Now, it could turn out as we go beyond Pittsburgh and we go beyond Philadelphia, and we have a little bit of evidence elsewhere in another Democratic part of the state that the same thing was going on, that it might spread to there. Where I do see it spreading, however, is sometime next week, unless I'm wrong, I think there'll be a similar case in Atlanta where similar things were going on. Republican inspectors showed up. They expected to inspect, like they do for absentee ballots, and they were uniformly kept out. They got to see nothing. And remember, Atlanta had to do the same thing you had to do. They had to catch Biden up because on election night he had lost. And he was down by a very good margin with only 85% to go. Something very similar happened in Michigan, Wisconsin, can't say Arizona, but in almost every state where President Trump had a lead going into the end of election night, some of the leads looking almost mathematically impossible to undo with the 5%, 10%, 20% of the vote. In almost all of those, this practice was followed. And I'm right now trying to find, did we get to see any ballots that were used for that purpose? If that's the case, then we have a massive nationwide lawsuit. So it could affect more than one state. But right now, the one that it definitely affects is the state of Pennsylvania in a very, very big way. But it's not the only infirmity in this state. There are dead people voting.
Wow.
No question about it. We get any number of complaints of that. We have a very serious problem with backdating ballots, including 4 witnesses now who are testifying to that. Whether that becomes part of this lawsuit or something separate, that isn't developed as fast as this has. One last question.
Are saying that they don't see any evidence right for voter fraud. So if the Republicans in charge of some of these taxes who are doing vote counting are saying we're going to make that, why is there a discrepancy between the people actually in charge of that and the company?
So that's like comparing apples and oranges, isn't it? They're not in charge of Philadelphia. How would... I'm glad they didn't see widespread fraud. That was in Republican counties. I don't think there was fraud in Republican counties.
In their city, I have spoken to a Republican commissioner who is absolutely clear that he and other Republicans were able to watch the count there and what was
Well, then let him come and tell me that. I haven't found one who's willing to tell me that. let him give me an affidavit under oath, under penalty of perjury.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You're
That's
telling
smart.
me these people are lying?
No, I was gonna say, look, this is back to what they
Well, I've spoken to about 50 people. I have statements from 25, we've spoken to 50. Every single inspector. No, I didn't speak to them. Are you the lawyer for the other side, by the way? You should get paid for it. The reality is that nobody has come forward, even though I've called the state party, the city party. I've asked, is there anyone that wants to come forward and say that there's anything unusual? The man in charge of this whole process, who watched the whole thing, had already come forward and given us a signed statement that no one got a chance to inspect. Now, unless this man had a secret opportunity to do it, there was one person in charge of all these people. He was there constantly for both days. Not a single Republican got a chance to view a single ballot. Now, if we got to view 10 or 12, well, then we'll reduce our number from 120,000 to 110,000. But you produced this man for me. So far, he hasn't come out of the woodwork.
And he's not.
Well, then, maybe well, if I were the commissioner for this city, I don't think I would admit that I didn't allow people to do this. I mean, the last time a Republican played ball with Democrats like that in New Jersey, he went to jail for 10 years. Thank you.
Okay, looks like it's about over. Okay.
We were not allowed in watch, period.
Wow. Okay, that was that. Okay, that was that. So you see that, people? There are things going on, and they're playing us stupid. And that's what gets me angry. That it's obvious that things are going on. And what I was mentioning earlier, that in New York City, New York City is heavily, heavily Democrat. And you can just go off the street, come from off the street. You don't have to produce ID. And then you just say you're so-and-so. Then they actually have to spell the name. They go in the computer and they say, is that you? And you'll say, what your response is. You're handed a ballot. Oh, you have to then sign for it electronically. And then you're handed a ballot. You fill it out. And then you put it in the machine. Anybody could say something. And again, anyone could have passed away. And the families could say, hey, grandma died. Hey, let's go vote for her. It's awful. It's awful. So let me show you something else. Let me say something else before I forget. Yeah, when I was sitting here and waiting for this live stream that you just saw go on, there was commotioning outside. I live in the middle of the city, in New York City. And they were honking their horns, real festive-like, and you can hear commotion, like a gathering, like it's some type of demonstration. Yeah, that was like 11:45. Yeah. So I'm wondering whether there's anything online. I'm just being curious now. I'm going to look on this screen in front of me. I'm just curious. I'm going to try something here. I want to put down like demonstration in New York. Let's see. Or rally. Rally in New York City today. Let's see. Okay, 5 months, 1 week, 5 days. You can hear noise now. A little bit. Let me see, Midtown. Let me try something else. Midtown. Midtown NYC protest. Let's see, I'm just checking this. 5 months ago, 5 months. Oh, I don't see anything. Okay. I guess it's so new. Protest, let me say rally. Yeah, I heard them screaming. I don't see anything. Nothing here yet, no. Yeah, they were honking those horns and everything. Let's see. Oh, you know what's here to the Trump Tower. let me see. Trump Tower. Trump Tower. New York City today. Two years ago, 3 years ago, 4. Don't see anything. I'm really curious about going out there. I don't think I want to go out today. I mean, it looks really sunny outside. I don't know. Who knows? So I don't see anything here. I was hoping to find something going on. Okay, the next thing I wanted to share with you, and I'm going to have the link down below. And I have also the link of the video you just saw, the live stream with the former mayor of New York City, Giuliani. Okay, let me just turn this page here. Okay, this is Alex Jones' website. And this section is with what they call banned videos. And yeah, you won't find this on mainstream news. So I'm going to play it. And this is discussing regarding the polls, the people who work at the polls, and some unsavory sounding events. So let me play it.
That they said,
okay,
is that
I'm going to
someone comes in,
make the screen
they say,
big.
I'm here to vote. You look them up in the list, and there next to their name, it says they've already voted. It says an absentee ballot was sent to them, and they returned it. So sent and received. So they say, sorry, sir, you already voted. Congratulations, you sent in your absentee ballot. You already voted. And that person says, she says, what happens if they get loud? What she means is what happens if they challenge the fact that they voted. If you say, well, sir, according to my list, you already voted, and they say, no, I didn't. They say, I've never had an absentee ballot. I'm here to vote today. That's not me. I did not vote. That's getting loud, right? What does she tell them to do? She says, give them a provisional ballot that will not go in the tabulator and that will be destroyed. So, how many people in Detroit went to vote, found that they were already marked off as having voted. They got mad and said, no, I never voted. That's a lie. And they were told, oh, okay, well then just fill out this provisional ballot. They filled it out, they turned it in, they thought they voted. They walked away having thought that their vote would be counted. What that video just said is that instead of counting the vote, instead of putting the vote into the tabulator to be counted and anonymized and sealed off, it will be destroyed. It will be thrown away. That person still thinks they voted. That person has been tricked into thinking that they voted, when clearly somebody else voted for them.
Yeah, they're going to show this information.
So criminal, it's shocking.
Okay, that was the preview. But now they're going to show it's an audio tape.
Still no word on the fabled, the yet-to-appear Biden press conference. I'll be keeping an eye in case anything does happen. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's the second hour of the election countdown program here on Infowars.com and Band.video. Was that the stage? So they are getting ready? Okay, so they are getting ready to do a statement, and we'll go to that live whenever...
This was filmed yesterday, I believe.
This could be it. And you saw the stage. They're getting ready. We could be minutes away from Joe Biden claiming victory, the entire media being behind him, and it being on, folks. Like, it could be on in just a few minutes. So, tell you what, if you haven't been to InfoWarsStore.com, it's not too late. It's not too late. InfoWarsStore.com, help support us because, I mean, yeah, this could be it. This could seriously be it. They could really be, rolling it out. Tomorrow we have the Stop the Steal peaceful protests occurring at every state capital of all 50 glorious states. Saturday, November 7th, 12 p.m. local time, hashtag Stop the Steal, stolenelection.us, stopthesteal.us, 2020 at stolenelection.us. It's the Stop the Steal peaceful protest tomorrow at noon. At that point, who knows? Maybe they will be claiming that anybody protesting in such a manner is engaged in insurrection and may be subject to military activity. We just don't know. But Biden will be making a statement very soon. And, is it exciting or terrifying? We'll find out. I thought this was kind of funny. This was a meme I made, a little memery for you on this Friday afternoon. My name's Harrison Smith, by the way. I don't think I introduced myself. My name's Harrison Smith. This is a cognitive reality test that I've created. This little test, you'll see two graphs here. And this is what's called a cognitive reality test.
Yeah, look at this.
And the question is, do you see the abnormalities? Now you see here, there's no label on the x-axis, no label on the y-axis. But if you were to give this to a sane and competent individual, it would be immediately recognizable that this jump here is an abnormality, that something has occurred here that is not normal and that draws your attention. Now there are other places where you can see, Trump's line goes up right here quite a bit, but at the same time, Joe Biden's line is climbing. It's only in these segments where Joe Biden's line leaps straight up while the other line does not rise whatsoever. And see, it's a cognitive reality test because, like I said, you found somebody that didn't even know there was an election going on, like didn't know anything about it, and you just showed them these graphs, they'd go, oh look, there's a spike there, and there's a spike there, something happened there, and then they could speculate farther. You could say, what do you think these graphs represent, or what could that spike be? They go, well, I don't know, if it's money over time, then, apparently they made a lot of money in this one instance, a ton of money, this was an influx of money. Like, you could speculate as to what would have caused this jump. But here's the thing, if you show this to a brainwashed globalist tool, they won't even see that jump. They won't acknowledge that jump is there. What jump? What do you mean the emperor's naked? He's got wonderful new clothes on. It's literal brainwashing. When you can show somebody just absolute evidence of something, and that if they were, had no prejudice, then they would recognize what they were seeing. But it's this form of brainwashing where people are denying their own eyes. They're denying what they see. They're denying mathematical proofs. And it's really incredible. Or they rationalize it. They justify it. They say, well, you know, everybody gets mail-in voting. Oh, it's just a mail-in voting. It's fraud. Okay, it's a crime. It's clearly false. You have 130,000 votes for Biden and 0 for Trump. That's fraud. Okay. Not that hard. So it's a nice little cognitive reality test you can share with your friends. You can take it on the street and ask people. You can show them this graph and go, is there an anomaly here? Maybe we should do that. Maybe we should do a man on the street and just show people this graph. Because I'm telling you, if people don't know, they'll go, yeah, it's right there. But the leftists, the people who are tuned in politically but brainwashed by the globalists, they'll know what these graphs represent, and they'll know I can't just say there's the anomaly. I can't recognize that jump, or else I'm admitting to the voter fraud. So say, no anomaly. It all looks quite normal to me.
Wow.
There's another mathematical proof that I'd like to introduce you to, and I'll do that in just a moment. It's called the, it's even called Binford's Law. It's called Binford's Law, and I'll explain it to you with the graphs. I'll lay it all out. It's a method used to detect fraud, and what a shock. You find rather blatant inconsistencies with the voter totals in certain swing districts of swing states that the Biden campaign happened to win at 4 o'clock in the morning the day after Election Day. Truly incredible. But I teased it early on, and I want to go to it now. I want to go to the full video. I downloaded it from BitChute, and I believe the account name was Detroit Leaks. I think that's what it was. The title is hashtag Detroit Leaks. State employees train poll workers to lie. So what you're about to hear purports to be
it's really bad.
Undercover audio recorded at a poll worker training seminar where they're being instructed how to deal with various types of ballots. It was really incredible. That's not the one I saw. The one I saw had upwards of 40,000 views, I believe, so maybe this is a re-upload, but that is the video. That's the correct video. But it's actually getting fairly popular on BitChute. That upload didn't reflect. So this is getting out there, and it really is incredible. And I'll let you listen to it, and I will read the text that is played on the screen aloud for our audio listeners. But it's really incredible, and you tell me what you think. Here they are, the Detroit Leaks. This is also edited by somebody that's like a bell sound. It's very annoying. I'm sorry, but that's not me. Detroit Leaks, the vote fraud scheme to steal Michigan.
We have how many days? 6. So what is the Department of Elections going to do with it? It's great.
Multiple Detroit poll worker trainings were audio recorded, which revealed the mechanics of the planned theft of the election. They demonstrate exactly how things will and will not happen on Election Day. Step 1, kick out the poll challengers.
Challengers and poll watchers. They have to wear masks and they have to stay 6 feet. That's important because they can come behind your table. But if you don't have 6 feet, they can come back there. Big question. Exactly. Big neck, please. They got really, but they were not this.
So let's pause it right there. I want you to understand what we just saw. Let's rewind it about 10 seconds. What you just heard, rather. Step 1, kick out the poll watchers. So once again, they're using COVID. It's like, this is like the globalist multi-tool. This is like, the magic wand of the globalists. Everything they want and more is possible from COVID. So she says, they gotta stay 6 feet away because of COVID. You gotta keep Oh, by the way, this is what hell sounds like. I feel like I should preface this. What you're about to hear, it's the audio of hell. It's like the bureaucratic education of the dumbest people in the world. And to me, it's like...
Yeah, I just want to stop this for a moment. The audio. See, COVID was implemented, I feel, as many different gremlins to ruin this election. They're foreseeing down the road different things that they can use to distract you and to prevent this election from taking place. And one of those things is that, hey, enforce that you have to stay 6 feet away so that then, for also a mask, so you won't be able to identify the person, okay? The perpetrator, or the possible perpetrator, and then being 6 feet away or more so they can cover their activities with the ballots, okay? So they foresee down the road a lot. This is warfare, but it's a silent war without guns, bombs, but they use other things. But in the end, the outcome is still the same. Getting what you want to overthrow someone's government.
It's like 11 minutes in the DMV in hell. Incredible stuff. So they're using this 6-foot distance, the social distancing rule, and she's saying, see, they can't come behind your table if they have to adhere to the 6 feet thing, which means they can't see what you're doing. It means they can't look over your shoulder. Somebody actually asks her, doesn't that mean they can't observe you? Unless they have really good eyesight, you keep them far enough distance away, they can't actually see what you're doing. The woman says, exactly. Not, oh, that, is a problem, but that's the purpose. That's the reason they're being trained to do this. That's the reason they're utilizing a very strict 6-foot rule. You think they care about COVID? Are you kidding me? They're using COVID. Like they used it to shut down the economy. Like they used it to...
There you go. It's warfare. It's warfare.
Like they're using it to bring in the mark of the beast and the forcible injections and the contact tracing. It is the excuse of all excuses, and it's essentially the flu. So because of the flu, you got to have mail-in voting. Because of the flu, you got to stay inside and crash the economy. Because of the flu, our poll watchers have to stay at least 6 feet away. It's for your health. But once again, listen to what they say and how they're using the 6-foot rule to enforce a position, force the poll workers to remain in a position in which they will be incapable of performing their duty and performing oversight of the vote. Let's go back.
Challengers and poll watchers. They have to wear masks and they have to stay 6 feet. That's important because they can come behind your table. But if you don't have 6 feet, they can't come back there. Any questions? Exactly. They really do. Big neck. They got really do. But they were not this. That's the rule, right? You are entitled to your 6 feet. Is that common? You can mix that up. Yep, there's the common. They're coming. They're coming to every precinct, but they're coming to many of them in the city. We have already gotten word. The state has already seen it. They're coming. And the basic thing they're doing in challenge is what? Absentee ballot. That is correct.
What if they're like challenging when they start yelling and kind of making it seem
911. They got standards. They got conduct standards. They make the scene, give them a battery. What's all that say?
So let's pause it again, just real quick. You'll go ahead and bring that up. I'll read that out loud. Michigan compiled laws 168.733. The Board of Election Inspectors shall provide space for the challengers within the polling place that enables the challengers to observe the election procedure and each person applying to vote. So what we just heard was this trainer lady, this person in charge of it, saying, oh, they're coming. They're coming. These dangerous poll watchers. Right? Like, this shouldn't even matter. It should there shouldn't be training, quite frankly, except for like how to recognize somebody pretending to be a poll watcher when they're not. Like, this is illegit. It's clear evidence that they're trying to cover something else. So they say the poll workers, they're coming. Watch out, they're coming. but you can keep them far enough away to where they can't actually do their job, and if they complain, call the cops on them. That's what that trainer just told her trainees. Let's continue the video. Detroit News, Nessel, state police will enforce voting laws on election day if state doesn't. Step 2 in this process challenged ballots as regular ballots to be counted. This, they say, is a ballot tabulator. Before 2020, not a single challenged ballot would go in to the tabulator. Once it's in the tabulator, it's counted. And they say this is because every ballot inside the tabulator is anonymous. So once it goes in, you can't figure out which one is the one you want. A tabulated ballot could not be identified or challenged in the future. So before 2020, all challenged ballots were separated. They went into a challenged ballots envelope. If you go back a second, guys, I want to get this fully in there. Sorry, I'll read faster. So that's the ballot tabulator, where legitimate ballots go. Oh, now it's gone totally. So before 2020, all challenged ballots were separated. They went into a challenged ballot envelope for future processing by the Department of Elections. So if it's a challenged ballot, it gets set off to the side, doesn't get added to the normal pile and tabulated. That was before. But now, as of 2020,
challenge a ballot. You take the ballot, you write under the barcode 2003, and you cover it with what kind of tape? Post-it. The post-it tape. But this time, we're going to put it in a secrecy sleeve, and Mr. Stark is going to go vote as normal. So his ballot is going through what? The tabulator.
Translation, all challenged tablets will be counted immediately on election night, and only if, after the fact, a challenged ballot is rejected, will an election official locate the ballot box, break the seal, and fish out the challenged ballot from the pile of thousands to find the one with the post-it tape covering up the challenged ballot number. This will never happen unless maybe there's a recount. Quick little law change, right? Here in the most important election of all time. Step 3, allow anyone with an easily forged piece of paper to vote. This one truly is incredible. This is page 15. It's an example of how a new voter registration receipt looks.
Receipt. In Michigan, what can we do now as we vote? We can register to vote up and through election day. The computer system, the electronic poll book program is downloaded on Saturday before election day. It is not a live feed. So if someone registers on Sunday or Monday, they're not going to be in your computer. But they still have a receipt when they register. If they do not vote at the time they register, they give them a receipt to bring to the precinct. So Mr. Stark, you came in. You looked and you didn't find it. What are you going to say, Mr. Stark? Are you a registered voter in Michigan? Mr. Stark is going to say, sure. I'm ironing. I flew in yesterday and I'm registered to vote. Right? Mr. Stark, if they give you a receipt, hopefully he won't have one. He would have either right up under here. The first type of receipt he might have is going to say process him as a challenge voter. Everybody highlight that. Then below that it says note to the election inspector. Highlight that. Because those are going to be the directions on how we process his ballot. The one down below says process him as a regular voter. A regular ballot. Highlight that. So there are two separate types of receipts. The first receipt is going to tell you the process count as a challenge voter. The second receipt will tell you the process count as a regular voter. They might have either one.
A vote processed as a regular voter on election day will be tabulated and cannot be uncounted later. It only takes a crude forgery for anyone to vote anywhere. You understand? If you print out that receipt, you just print it out at home, take it to vote, and vote. And they can't, even if you're not on the list, they have to let you vote.
Oh,
Here's
wow.
the QVF. It's the public database of every voter in Michigan. So there, if you want to cheat, all you have to do is go here, where it also maps every address to its correct precinct. You find a name. This is a list of Detroit polling places.
Oh,
This
wow.
video will lay it out better than I can. Anyone with the know-how could generate thousands of late registration receipts. Anyone with a printer could do it. And these would be complete with a valid address and polling location address. And finally, step 4, staff polling stations with literal children.
We know that we have a lot of high school students that's EPI. And if you can't go to the city, because it's late at night, right? If you can't go, you need to tell your chairperson early in the day, hey, I can't do the receiving board. They will choose someone else to go with them.
Most of the students at the EPI, Electronic Poll Book Inspector class that day were teenagers. Just handling our vote.
$50 if you took this laptop to the studio. But I stress, this only can happen if the EPI are teenagers. A lot of our EPI are teenagers, in high school, and they can't set the 2 more to 2 in the morning. So, they'll need someone to drop the laptop on.
And then step 5, this is incredible. It only gets worse from here, folks. We're like halfway through the video.
Because on election day, you'll have numbers of troubleshooters like myself and different coordinators. But honestly speaking, it's going to be hard to get a hold of them. Because it's going to be 10 people calling for a misset at the same time.
Step 6, destroy challenge ballots, or count challenge ballots and destroy provisional ballots. This is the most important one.
The absentee ballot, what? Sent and received. Do not what? Yes, no, if you're on ballot. Mr. Allen, we have received your ballot. Thank you very much. We're voting. Would you like a voter sticker? Right?
Oh,
He's already voted. There's no reason for him to vote again. At all. Ever. That day. He's got it. But what if he gets what? Loud, rude, that's not me. I didn't vote. I didn't want to vote.
stop it.
Just act the purest. What can you do?
Sorry, my dog.
The chairperson can issue him what type of ballot? A provisional envelope. Wow. Where's it going? Not in the tabulator. It's going in an envelope, right? We have how many days? 6. So what is the Department of Elections going to do with it? Destroy it.
Okay, so let's pause it. I want to watch this part again. If we can rewind.
This
it
is
to
really
the
troubling.
section. Does everyone understand what was just said in that video? Maybe you don't. What they said was that if someone comes in and they say, I'm here to vote, you look them up in the list, and there next to their name, it says they've already voted. It says an absentee ballot was sent to them, and they returned it. So sent and received. So they say, sorry, sir, you already voted. Congratulations, you sent in your absentee ballot. You already voted. And that person says, she says, what happens if they get loud? What she means is what happens if they challenge the fact that they voted. If you say, well, sir, according to my list, you already voted, and they say, no, I didn't. They say, I never had an absentee ballot. I'm here to vote today. That's not me. I did not vote. That's getting loud, right? What does she tell them to do? She says, give them a provisional ballot that will not go in the tabulator and that will be destroyed. So, how many people in Detroit went to vote, found that they were already marked off as having voted, they got mad and said, no, I never voted, that's a lie, and they were told, oh, okay, well then just fill out this provisional ballot. They filled it out, they turned it in, they thought they voted. They walked away having thought that their vote would be counted. What that video just said is that instead of counting the vote, instead of putting the vote into the tabulator to be counted and anonymized and sealed off, it will be destroyed. It will be thrown away. That person still thinks they voted. That person has been tricked into thinking that they voted, when clearly somebody else voted for them. This is so criminal, it's shocking. And of course they are using children, and you can tell by the audio, maybe not the brightest, tools in the shed, and they have all these arcane laws, and okay, when this comes in, circle this, and highlight this, and circle then this tab here, and that, and they're committing fraud, they don't even know it. They think this is what they're being told to do. Well, we do this, we provide them with provisional.
Just want to stop this for a moment. I'm really, it's very stressing to hear what they're talking about. Again, it's just the audio. This audio is being taken in Detroit, Michigan. Who lives in Detroit, Michigan? And what do the people sound like? Don't they sound like people who, in the past, in the 1950s and 60s, their votes may not have been counted. They were barred voting, hosed down by the police and attack dogs on them, right? Don't they sound like people that their accent, their dialect, their style of talking? See, those young children, those teenagers who are there, who are, maybe it's the first time they ever was in a polling place, and here they're being groomed to learn how to process the ballots. What are they learning? They're learning corruption. They're learning from someone from their community how to steal a ballot, how to commit fraud. And just maybe 50, 60 years ago, their own parents fought to have their votes counted. But instead, you become a perpetrator or used as a perpetrator to prevent other people's votes to be counted. They didn't do this, this voting stuff when Obama, his first term, his first election. No one messed with the ballots. No one prevented my doing anything at the ballot, to cast my vote. Now we have a president who was very good to American blacks / African Americans. He's implemented the Platinum Plan for Black America. He's contributed funds to the black colleges. Not even Obama did things directly for the mainstream Black America / African American populace. So these young kids are being corrupted of Detroit. They're learning how to be dishonest. They're learning how to be corrupt like people from the past. That here you have a population, Detroit is not doing well. Historically, the past 50 years have not been doing very well. And they're becoming just as corrupt as the people that they feel that may be oppressing them, making them feel less than. You get innocent children and corrupting them to be evil, to be deceptive. See, when you do things like that, it will fall back on you. See, people who are dishonest, they're not just dishonest because, oh, that person is a so-and-so or such and such. People who do criminality don't really discriminate. They'll victimize, they'll do anybody that they can get away with. So it's not just a demographic that they're against. They're ultimately against everyone. And the woman who's facilitating this training, one day something like this could happen to her. She may think that she's a strong, powerful person and getting back at people from the past. But in actuality, that woman is being used as a dog, as a pit bull, to do the dirty work. And once she or even he completes their tasks, they too will be removed completely. So the stolen fruit might taste sweet for now. You might think you're really getting over and getting back at those people that hurt you. But in actuality, you're hurting the people of Detroit, their right to have their vote counted, regardless of their race, their religion, their political affiliation. You are the aggressor, and you are in violation of civil rights, the civil rights of your fellow Americans. Shame on you. Shame in Detroit. Once all this is over, they're going to implement things against communities like yours. Big time. They're not loving you. Like I mentioned earlier about the brown shirts of Nazi Germany. Once the Germans used their police force that they called the brown shirts, they got rid of them by the SS. The SS destroyed the brown shirts and took over the whole country. So yes, they're using you for now. You think you're powerful, you think you're cool, maybe you're getting a free dinner. But after all this, Biden and Kamala are not your friends. They're not anybody's friend. They're China's friend. They're going to try to implement a communist/socialist regime in the United States. You talk to any Cuban, let's say they 60 plus years of age and up, you talk to them, Cubans, old Cubans, and they're going to say communist system sucks. Yeah, you might think, oh, you're all equal. You're not equal you're equally oppressed. Communism is the same as slavery, but it's a global slavery in that country or region. It's everyone's poor. Everyone's begging for food. Go to Cuba and they're begging people to buy them soap, toilet paper, shampoo. Yeah, that's in Cuba today in 2020. Yeah, Yes, you all will be equally poor and begging. Yeah. China has a grudge against America. And I think China implemented this COVID to come to a place like America because they knew about the election coming up and they're taking over. They're taking over. Biden's son, Hunter, was taking bribes, was taking pay for play. Yep, pay to play. And they're going to take over the system here and implement its system of control. Look at all those people in China. What's happening? China, the country of China, is a representation of what the system wants to do to all of the people on this planet. A global control over all society, all your whereabouts, everything, just walking, talking, everything is surveillance, everything. And they want to put that on you. And so you think you're not in a good position now. Well, when this new communist regime attempts to come, it's going to get you. It's going to get you too. It's going to get your children. They're trying to destabilize. And they purposely implemented this COVID as a pretext to possibly prevent the election from taking place. Or if it does take place, okay, then it's going to be mail-in. Okay, and then they're going to steal it that way. Or create these very long lines so many people will give up and say, forget about it. I had to wait 4 hours. I was exhausted. What if someone was much older than me and tired? Well, let's say if they had health issues. They might have gone away, right? See, it's the intent. And it's the intent of this whole election, this whole, since Trump came into power, the whole intent was to remove him from public office and then use the race card from the very beginning. You hardly heard any people from Mexico say anything about Trump. But then they use Black America because they know historically you're real sensitive about anything that hints of racism and bigotry. How come you didn't see Hispanics or Mexicans going out there and protesting? In fact, you were protesting and not them. They're doing better than you economically. You're at the bottom. But they use you to protect other people's rights, and then in the long run, when you have to share all your rights with everybody, you get less and less of the pie. And then you say, oh wow, what happened? Yeah, you're not doing your homework. And you have all these people that's supposed to be representing you, and they're not telling you the truth. You have to learn how to see behind the veil. You're being screwed. And you're being used to overthrow America. It's horrible. And they're not your friend. The Democrats are not your friend. Communism is not your friend. They're infiltrating the community. They're even using women to go out with the men and to persuade them. Yeah, when I was in the military also, being in the boot camp, they discussed about the back then it was communist Russia, the Soviet Union. They talked about them in the military that they use women and they target the black men to get information. Yeah. So you think they stopped because of now it's not a communist country? Well, China's still communist. And we get a lot of our products from China. Most products, at least in New York City, when you go to the department store, I'm not going to give any names, Look at where the products are made. Most of the products that I've been noticing is made in China, not the United States. They and even the stores here. Who are the newest shop owners? Everything. This COVID is also shutting down businesses that's been around, like mom and pop type of stores, really nice, quaint stores, restaurants, all types of newer stores, and one by one they get removed. The real older stores were the first hit, and then as time goes on, some of them now, after 6 months, now they're closing. Yeah, it's a regime change. It is a regime change upon you. Yeah, and they're not going to build up the black community with nice stores, whatever. No, they're going to leave you bare. They're going to leave you bare, black folk. Whether you're in Detroit or New York City, they're not building your community. They're using you to be the thugs in the poll buildings, where you place your ballot. They're using you, and then they're going to discard you. You have your children learning how to be dishonest, and a thief is a thief. A thief is a thief, and what goes around comes right back. We need Trump. He's loyal to America. And I'm even hearing some of the rap artists, the hip hop artists. And back in the day, there were photos of Trump with the hip hoppers and everything, and they liked Trump because he was cool and everything. They never once said he was a bigot. Right? So what happened? He's doing more for black people. He let some people, blacks, out of prison who was falsely put in prison, and pardoned them. Not Obama. Obama was not your friend. Obama didn't do anything. When he came out of office, Obama, nothing. He never spoke on behalf of the black community. And then recently, last month, he started talking. It's kind of late. You can hardly recognize him now. All his hair it turned color. Yeah, he's a socialist. And he's about overthrowing America. And they only used Obama for the race card. Because if you go against Obama when he was running for office, then you'll be labeled a bigot or xenophobe, right? That is the trick that they use, that these communists/socialists use to get their way. And they didn't expect Trump to win. They expected Hillary to win. And that didn't happen. And so now they've gone gung-ho to get rid of him. Now they have to steal an election and using black folks in the major cities. The major cities got hit the hardest with this COVID, with all this sickness that's happening and the stress and the drug abuse. Since this COVID, there's more drug evidence outside in the street. The system's not going to correct that. They're not on your side, black people. Trump at least was on your side to improve the economic condition. In fact, we did better under Trump. I know I did. Under the Trump administration, I did better. I felt more comfortable. Wow, you really screwed yourself. You shot yourself in the foot. You hear Trump is from New York City. And if he was a so-called bigot, he's been around in the New York scene for 40 years. And all those hip hoppers, they were around him. They never said anything negative about Trump. Sorry. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. You fell for it. You're shooting yourself in the foot. Let me continue on with. I'm really sad about this. I had to speak out about this. Let me continue with this tape.
They're committing fraud. They're being trained to commit fraud.
Yeah.
Let's watch this again. You don't have to take my word for it.
Yeah.
Now you know what the background is and everything. Let's listen to again what happens when someone comes in. On the list it says they've already voted absentee, and they get loud and say, hell no, I have not voted yet. So you appease them by giving them a fake ballot.
It's fakery.
This is incredible. Play it again.
What do you know about his name? Absentee ballot what? Sent and received. Do not what? Yes, no, and him on ballot. Mr. Allen, we have received your ballot. Thank you very much. For voting. Would you like a voter sticker?
What did he say? Oh, look at that. A voter sticker. They gave me a voter sticker.
He's already voted. There's no reason for him to vote again. At all. Ever. That's it. He's done. But what if he gets what? Loud, rude. That's not me. I didn't vote. I didn't want to vote.
Yeah, how dare you be loud or upset when you find out your vote has been stolen? Sir, you are being rude and you gotta leave now. Like, is the DMV in hell?
Shame on that woman. Shame on that woman. Shame on her.
What can you do? Your chairperson can issue him what type of ballot? A provisional envelope. Wow. Where is it going? Not in the tabulator. It's going in an envelope, right? We have how many days? 6. So what is the Department of Elections going to do with it? Destroy it.
Really incredible. And the video goes on
Yeah.
to suggest
And if that
solutions
thing,
such as becoming
and if that were to happen to that person who's speaking, that facilitator, oh, she'll be the one that's be getting loud. See that? It could be one of her friends. It could be anybody whose vote was taken over.
poll watchers and various other things that aren't particularly helpful to us as the election has already occurred. It's just shocking. You can go ahead and pull the video down because that's the conclusion of the audio. Now, maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe I misunderstood what was being said right there.
Okay, that's all I'm going to show. Yeah. So that was that's the video that I wanted to show you. It is very, very serious. Wow, I can't believe this is happening. Can't believe this is happening on my watch. Yeah, I'm just looking at the chats here. I'm going through different windows here on my screen. That's what I'm looking at right now, different screens here. Let me read some of the comments here. Yeah, hi, Bhakta. Okay, let me see your... Okay, let me just open this one. It's hard for me to read the info here. Let me just, pull open that screen a little more. Okay. Yeah, Bhakta is saying the Chinese social court system is nuts. Social credit scoring is crazy. Yes. And that's what they're trying to implement. And all over Manhattan, we have these screens. It's a built-in telephone booth. A telephone station. You can go on the internet. You can check information. You can place so-called free phone calls. But it has a big monitor on the side of it. Those are cameras to watch people. It was implemented in New York City on 8th Avenue in Midtown, Manhattan, a couple of years ago. I don't think more than 5 years ago. But yeah, they implemented, and so they monitors all over the place. That's on the street on 8th Avenue. Some of it is on 10th Avenue, 9th Avenue or 10th Avenue, and then the subways, forget it. The subway, we have tons of monitors all over, but they have all these bright lights and advertisements, and so you never really think about it. But yeah, these are things to spy on you. It's horrible. It's horrible. So let's see here. Okay, Bhakta is also saying so many people have died from fentanyl. Last month, my friend Jeff, his son died from fentanyl. I'm afraid I don't know what fentanyl is. It sounds like a sedative or something. Let's see. A month before that, I know a guy, Jesse, that found his daughter dead in the garage from fentanyl too. Oh, it's chemical warfare done on the people of USA. The Mex cartels and Chinese are poisoning people on purpose. Wow. I never heard of fentanyl. I don't think I know what fentanyl is. But it sounds like some type of sedative or something. Wow. Yeah, this is a live coup, and again around 11:45 a.m. today, I heard a lot of commotion outside in the street, and it sounded like some type of riot. You heard a lot of commotion, and then the people's horns were honking, bah, 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 like some excitement. It's not like regular traffic, but it's, commotion. And they're just using the cars to get rowdy and everything. Yeah. This is a coup. This is a coup on the city. New York has a strong hold, has a strong democratic stronghold. And anybody could have voted. You didn't need any ID, and that's not protecting black people or the so-called minority vote. It could be used against you. Someone could say that they are me and place a vote. You should have an ID. And again, they use black people as a means to say, oh, well, in the past, we were required to, every time we wanted to vote, there was some other requirement. But now that's 100 years ago. This is now. You have black people who's spending a lot of money on their nails, their hair, their skin, all these things. So you could afford an ID. You could afford it. We should have IDs, vote like a voter card. Your people should be able to vote who are lawful to vote. But now you're going to use the race card because something happened a long time ago. Well, a long time ago is not now. It's about the political scenes, what's happening now. New York City has always had a lot of people. You have all types of people that live in New York City. And they're exploiting your past. They're exploiting you. And you think you're getting over. You're not. Oh, I hear them. Wow, I heard that in the background. I think I might go out. See what's going on. Get my camera. If I can film loud. Yeah, I hear it loud. I can hear it. Boy, this is awful. Awful. Oh, the honking. Wow. I hear the cars are honking and you can hear the people screaming. Shoot. Brother. Wow, brother. Wow, I'm really sorry, folks. I love my country. I love my country, and I don't want to leave. I mean, I have a good setup. I don't know anyone who is doing as well. I mean, I have food, shelter. I have my health. I have my little doggies. You know, I have all these blessings, and people are trying to take it away through this false election. It's a false election, and they're targeting the black community to do the dirty work. And they put in this false COVID as a scare tactic to kill off the old people. What they did in Nazi Germany, they got rid of the sick and elderly first, and then they're going to get rid of you. Yeah? Horrible, horrible, horrible. Well, those are the two videos that I wanted to share with you that I thought was extremely important for you to review. So you have first-hand information, you know, where I'm getting my data from. Share it with your friends, family members. Again, it's not about who you should vote for. You vote for who you want to vote for. This is not what this video is about. Of telling you who to vote for. Vote for who you want to vote for, but make sure your vote gets counted. And now we don't know whether your vote was counted because things were thrown away. Oh, okay. Bhakta is telling me, okay, it's an opiate. Okay. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, I don't do drugs, you know. People, live a clean life. Do good to your body. Yeah, I'm just talking about in the chat room and how people, he's sharing something that happened to some people who he knew. They want to stress you out so much that they have you do all this crazy drugs to cope in today's stress. Yeah. Yeah, I'm so sorry about that, Bhakta. Thank you for sharing that. So, I enjoy your life. You know, regardless what they try to do to you, they can't take your soul. Stand your ground. Use wisdom. Take care of your health. Oh, wow. They're really getting rowdy outside. Shoo. Wow. Yeah, Yeah, so I'm going to go now. I'm going to investigate what's going on out there. Or if I find a video what's going on. Something's going on. Something is getting rowdy. This is Midtown, Manhattan. And you hear people, it sounds really ugly out there. So, yes. So people, I thank you for watching. Be safe. Have your children at home, you know. You think your children do mischief, bring them home. Keep them safe. You know, people are going to try to overthrow the government. No. America we stand. It's not perfect, but this is my country. This is your country. This is our country. Let's protect it, okay? Thank you again for watching. Bye-bye.